Yo, what's going on? It's Shane187. Kicking it with you, kicking it with me. We're punching in, we're slotting in our time cards, and we're kicking it. Alright, we're clocked on now. So, what we doing? We're talking about Operation Mockingbird. If you haven't heard of Operation Mockingbird, it's a little bit like the song, just a lot more blood and guts. Alright, so yeah, we've got Operation Mockingbird. What is Operation Mockingbird? Operation Mockingbird is an alleged large-scale program of the United States Central Intelligence Agency (CIA) that began in the early years of the Cold War and was attempted to manipulate news, media, and propaganda. Project Mockingbird was a wiretapping operation initiated by United States President John F. Kennedy to identify the sources of government leaks. Although the main objective of Operation Mockingbird was to influence the prediction of commercial films, the CIA also occasionally initiated film projects. Operation Mockingbird, large scale. Famous Watergate reporter Ben Bernstein broke the story, 1977, in Rolling Stones. Operation Mockingbird is the United States CIA campaign that aimed not only to influence the media but to infiltrate it. Operation Mockingbird indicates the CIA's involvement in the manipulation of the news published in the United States and across the world. Today, one can identify such manipulation with fake news. Operation Mockingbird, commonly referred to as CIA's involvement in journalism during the 1970s, and in my opinion, and beyond. The CIA bribes students as well as established journalists and reporters to write a CIA version of events. Senator Frank Church established the Church Committee in order to investigate government operations and potential abuses. The CIA admitted their manipulation of mainstream media in order to change the American people's mind and publish family jewels. Operation Mockingbird, a telegraph tap in 1963 of homes and offices of syndicated news columnists whose columns appear in the newspaper. We're getting deep. We're not quite in the deep end, but we're getting deep. Alright, let's buckle down. Enjoy the ride. I've got my seatbelt on. I'm roaring to go. What's this? People also ask, what do CIA operation officers do? As an operations officer for the CIA, you will focus on clandestinely spotting, assuring, developing, recruiting, and handling non-US citizens with access to foreign intelligence vital to US foreign policies and national security decision makers. A black operation. Obviously, information is a paycheck. Valuable information. Espionage.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and irresponsible, one-sided news stories
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
the sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
more alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Hypnotized. Oh, it's finished. Alright, let's get back to work. So that is extremely dangerous for our democracy. The concept living in a fake world trips up a lot of people, and they say so every professional doctor, lawyer, etc. is in on the scam. No, LOL, they grew up with the same brainwashing as you did. Yes, it is. It is the operation. CIA Black Ops. A black operation or black ops is a covert or clandestine operation by a government agency or military unit or paramilitary organization. It can include activities by private companies or groups. Key features of the black ops or operations are that it is secret and it is not attributed to the organization carrying it out. Wow. Wow. So they can never be attributed to whatever they're doing. So, what the CIA was doing was infiltrating media and newspaper companies throughout the world, and they'd get in positions of power, of the news agency or of the television company or whatever it is, and then they create the narrative. It can lead to wars, it can lead to a bunch of things. You don't hear about certain things, and then other narratives are pushed into our faces. So, let's go to Operation Northwoods, because we know that they've infiltrated the media. They just tell us a load of garbage on the news. Operation Northwood was a proposed false flag operation against Cuban government that originated within the U.S. Department of Defense and the Joint Chief of Staffs of the United States government in 1962. The proposal called for the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, or other US government operatives to both stage and actually commit acts of terrorism against American military and civilian targets, blaming them on Cuban government and using it to justify a war against Cuba. The possibilities detailed in the document included the possible assassination of Cuban immigrants, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas, hijacking planes to be shot down or given the appearance of being shot down, blowing up a US ship, or orchestrating violent terrorism in the US cities. The proposal was rejected by President John F. Kennedy. Fidel Castro had been taken power in Cuba in 1959 and began allowing communists into the new Cuban government, nationalizing US businesses and improving relations with the Soviet Union, arousing the concerns of the US military due to the Cold War. Operations proposed creating public support for the war against Cuba by blaming it for terrorist acts that would actually be perpetrated by the US government. To this end, Operation Northwood's proposal recommended hijackings and bombings, followed by the introduction of phony evidence that would implicate and Cuban government, it stated. The desired result from the execution of the plan would be that to be placed the United States in the apparent position of suffering defensible grievances from a rash of irresponsible government of Cuba and develop an international image of a Cuba threat to peace in the Western Hemisphere. Several other proposals were included within Operations Northwood, including real or simulated actions against various US military and civilian targets. The operations recommend developing a communist Cuban terrorist campaign in the Miami area, in other Florida cities, and in Washington, which involved the bombing of civilian targets themselves, which were to be blamed on irresponsible Cuban governments to paint a false image of Fidel Castro and the misinformed the American public. The plan was drafted by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, signed by Chairman Lyman Limonizer, and sent to the Secretary of Defense. Although part of the US government's anti-communist Cuban project, Operation Northwood was never officially accepted. It was authorized by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but then rejected by President John F. Kennedy. According to the current released documents, none of the operations ever became active under the auspices of the Operation Northwood proposals. The main Operation Northwood proposal was presented in a document titled Justification for U.S. Military Intervention in Cuba, a top-secret collection of drafts, memoranda written by the Department of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Document was presented in the Joint Chiefs of Staff Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, on the 13th of March 1962 as a preliminary submission for planning purposes. The Joint Chiefs recommend that both of the covert and overt aspects of such an operation would be assigned to them. The previous secret document, which originally made public on 18th November 1997, was by John F. Kennedy Assassination Record Review Board, a U.S. federal agency overseeing the release of the government records related to John F. Kennedy assassination. A total of 1,500 pages of once secret military records covering 1962 to 1964 were concomitantly by the review board. So there you go. They planned on blowing up civilians and blowing up military targets and blame it on the Cubans. Sounds a bit like 9/11. Didn't they? Well, planes, boom, war, Afghanistan, bang, 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 bang. Then Iraq. They got their oil from Afghanistan. They got their oil from Iraq. It's a crazy, crazy world we live in. Who knows? This is all about the truth movement anyway. So that's what I want to try and create. Truth movement. I want you to like, share. You don't have to share. Like, subscribe, please. And leave a comment. Good or bad. Tell me what you think. Tell me if there's anything I've missed. Any points that you might know that I haven't given out. Yeah. I'm Shane187, kicking it with you, kicking it with me. I'm signing out.